What's up, guys? Ian here, coach of your Ladner Lanturn, bringing you guys our quarterfinal match here against Zach and the Chicago Charizards. Interesting one. Based on what I see on my screen, I'm a little bit worried. If you haven't seen the team builder, please definitely check that out. I'm not going to go over my sets or what I prepped for, except for the fact that I hard over prepped for Celesteela because it was by far his best response to Excadrill and Nidoking. This team looks a lot weaker to both of those Pokemon in particular. Um, and it looks like I was really not expecting the Mega Manectric against Triple Ground, and so it's really strange that he brought that against Triple Ground. I don't know this now, but I knew it after the game. I don't know this now at the beginning of the game, but after the game I found out his Mega Manectric doesn't even have a single way outside of fire coverage to hit my ground types, and I have 3 ground types. So I'm really surprised there's no HP Ice on this Mega Manectric. I very surprised by the fact that there's no HPS in the Magmanectric. Seismitoad is obviously a problem, and not having coverage for it on Zapdos is probably going to cost me this game. Whimsicott looks really annoying. I was not expecting both Dark types. I was only expecting one of the Dark types. It didn't matter which one it was, but only one of them made a lot of sense against me. I don't know why there's two. Obviously, Greninja can hit Diancie still, so I figured Greninja would probably be the bring. Um, but yeah, there you go. Yeah, okay, so Infernape is most certainly going to be mixed. I already knew this out of the gate. It's got to have Grass Knot for Hippo, otherwise Hippo shuts it down. It's probably going to be mixed with some sort of priority for Excadrill. It makes complete sense that that would be his strategy, because it does look like he's a lot weaker to Excadrill, but he's probably going to have like Shuriken on Greninja and Mach Punch on Infernape was what I thought initially off the bat. So I wanted to shut down Rocks, because Rocks shut down my Zard and my Zapdos, so I'm going to lead with my Persian here. That was the plan right from the get-go, and try and taunt the Seismitoad. Bad lead option for me here, obviously, as the Whimsicott comes out, so I'm on the back foot now. I'm threatened out by a Moonblast, and I'm just going to double into my Charizard, which is my Moonblast resist at the moment, and he's going to make a pretty goat play and click Sunspore. Turns out after the game, he told me he didn't even have Moonblast, so this was either a really great read from his part. I'll have to find out when I watch his live comm, but this is either a really great read from his part on clicking Sunspore, or he just forgot that Dark types are immune to Prankster, because yeah, if he was expecting me to stay in or something, then I don't agree with that play at all. He wasn't actually even speed creeping my Persian, so I could have like parting shot it out or got a knockoff on this thing or something. But I expected him to be faster than me. I was surprised that he wasn't speed creeping my Persian. I would have outsped this for sure. He was speed creeping my Charizard, I believe, with his speed investment, which also doesn't make a ton of sense because he only had HP Fire as his only attacking move. So I'm not entirely sure why the Whimsicott was running any speed at all. It didn't really make sense to me, but there you go. So yeah, Charizard's paralyzed, and I'm just gonna go for the double here into my Persian. So I figured Seismitoad was coming in. It's his best defensive response to Zard always, and if he's changed up his set and he's like entirely Fizdef, then I don't want to be like attacking that straight on. So I'd rather go Persian and taunt it to get rocks away. So that's exactly what we're gonna do. Rocks are not gonna be on my side of the field. I'm gonna knock off the Rocky Helmet, and it shows to be fully physically defensive to me. Knockoff's actually still my play. Skull doing a little bit of damage there. Knockoff's still my play every single time, so we're going to go into a loop here where I just knock off and whatnot. The crit on that Skull didn't matter because he was going to kill me with the next one anyways, but he is going to go for the rocks on my next taunt, so I'm preserving the health on my Zapdos and Charizard by doing this, and weakening the Seismitoad, which is something, I guess. Yeah, so now that Persian's dead, I am actually forced to bring in Passimian. Excadrill can't kill this because it's fully Fizdef, and I don't have grass coverage on my Zapdos. My Zard's paralyzed, so I have to go Passimian. I actually can't even kill this anyways, and I have to rely on him not Scald Burning me, so I'm going to go for the close combat here, and it'll two-shot, obviously, but yeah, he's not going to be able to get the Scald Burn, which is great. I thought he would know what set I am after seeing that damage, but he asked me later on into the game if I was Adrenaline Orb or not, so I'm a little bit confused. It should have been pretty obvious that I was Assault Vest based on the damage that he just did. If not, by calcing it to see that I was -1 SPDF and I still only took 31%. U-turn's actually going to kill the Seismitoad from this range, so I'm just going to U-turn out on what is actually going to be the Whimsicott. Shows to be a little bit bulky here, and I'll be able to get into my Charizard for free in quotations, and click Dragon Dance, which is not really going to matter because I am fully paralyzed and Hydra comes in anyways. So my initial plan, I thought about it for a second there about just clicking Dragon Claw because there didn't seem to be a reason for him to just sack off Whimsicott like that when it's still a close combat resist. In fact, it's his only close combat resist on the entire team for Passimian. And so I wanted to click Dragon Claw. I kind of misplayed a little bit by clicking Dragon Dance, but I was saved-ish by the full para. It didn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. The full para mattered for sure. If I had clicked Dragon Claw, then the full para matters. Because Hydra was his check to this, which is weird. He could live a hit with his bulk, which was his plan from the get-go, but he doesn't outspeed me unless he's got the stun spore on me. So a little bit confused about all of that as well. But yeah, the Dragon Claw play, I didn't make the Dragon Claw play, so it's irrelevant. I'm gonna go into my Hippo on what I expect to be a Scarf Hydra, given that he brought it in on Zard. But he's actually Life Orb. He's actually Life Orb, and Draco does a lot. So I don't know what exactly this tells me, but after leftovers here, we're gonna see that I'm actually it's a roll. It's a fat roll for me to tank another Draco here, and so I'm gonna click Slack Off and play for the roll. I found out his investment after the game. He's not fully invested. It turns out it's actually a 25% chance for him to kill me here. So I have a 75% chance of living, getting more Sand Chip and Life Orb Chip on this Hydra, and then being able to slack off on it and get up to a good amount of HP. Then if he switches out the turn afterwards into something like Gren or Seismitoad, then that probably puts a little bit more pressure on me. But I would at least have a full health Hippo, something to be able to deal with Mega Manectric, which is looking like a prime threat. He's actually going to get the roll on the second -2 Draco, which really sucks in the grand scheme of things for my health here. But now he's in range of a Zardex Dragon Claw for sure with all of the Sand and Life Orb chip that he's taken. So I'm going to bring in Drill here. Roxy won't kill this depending on his investment. He's actually heavily HP invested, so he would have lived anything I had gone for besides X Scissor. Yeah. It kind of sucks, but at -4 he can't kill me with a fire move. I'm max HP Drill, but I figure Seismitoad's going to be the sack anyway, so I'd rather just kill off the Seismitoad in one turn and have an extra Sand turn to play with. So I'm just going to click the Rock Z, and we're going to take out the Seismitoad with the Rock Z here, which is nice at the very least to get, 2 more turns of extra drill damage in as the Whimsicott comes in and hits Stun Spore. So 75% chance to hit that Stun Spore. He's got I had a 75% chance to live the other Draco, and then he's got a 25% chance to miss this. So we're playing on rolls here, but that is going to work out for him there. If he didn't actually hit the Stun Spore there, my Extra Drill would have had at least one more turn of being able to do something. It probably just dies to everything outside of Sand, but I would have been able to at least kill the Whimsicott and then kill something else. Or, he makes a read and doubles into Hydra on my Earthquake or something. Like, if he brings in Mega Manectric trying to bait me into clicking Earthquake, then that's my play, is to just click Ironhead probably and catch the Hydra switching in. It's overall, in the grand scheme of things, it's irrelevant because he was Roost Hydra anyways. So we're going to be able to claim the Whimsicott, and then we're just going to die to this Greninja. Hydro Pump, hitting Hydro Pump's another roll. He probably could have just relied on Surf. I don't know why there's a Hydro Pump there. It might have been to break through Hippo later or break past a Mega Charizard X. I'm curious about the rolls on that because I do feel like Surf is just more reliable there. Yeah, so I'm assuming this is Specs, the way that he brought it in. I'm going to play around it being Specs. I'm correct in my assumption of it being Specs, by the way. But I had nothing to go off of besides my Extra Drill being slower than it anyways. So he didn't have to risk clicking Shuriken if he even had it. He didn't have it, I don't think. But yeah, so that was my play there. Now I'm just going to go into my Zapdos. He's got to hit a Hurricane, or he's got to hit a Hydro here if he really wants to be able to break my Zapdos. He doesn't know I'm Scarf yet, so I'm going to make the Signal Beam play, which is going to either catch the Hydra switching in or the Manectric on the electric move. And we're going to do quite a bit of damage to this Manectric, but it's kind of interesting damage. So it shows me he's like bulky, kind of. I was really expecting, if he brought it, it was definitely going to be Modest, which is what I thought. It changes a lot of rolls against a lot of stuff if he's Modest, especially against the defensive Zapdos. If he's Modest, Mega Manectric, it can two-shot me a lot more reliably than Timid. But he's actually Timid with a lot of bulk, which doesn't make sense. I've talked to him in DMs about it. It still doesn't make sense. This was a weird bringing Timid near max HP. Rather than just bringing Modest and having minimal HP and speed creeping Persian, I don't understand it. But I'm going to make the Signal Beam play again. If I can just kill the Manectric, then I'm in a super solid spot, because then I can just click T-Bolt against a bunch of stuff, but he's going to make the double into Infernape. Takes a little bit of damage there from the Signal Beam, and I'm going to go into Zardex here on what I expect to be a Flare Blitz anyways, and it is the Flare Blitz. So now I get to click Dragon Claw freely, and hopefully I don't get fully paralyzed. I don't have a position. I'm not in a position where I can ever click like Dragon Dance against this team, so I have to just go for raw damage. I'm not very offensive either, but the bulk is really helping out against the Infernape. Okay, so now Gren comes in, and I'm expecting him to click Hydro. I have two options here in my mind. I can't go Passimian, I just die. Even though I'm Assault Vest, I just die. So I have two options, really, realistically. I can either stay in with Zard, which is my best Infernape answer at this point in the game, and offers me the best way of tanking an Infernape hit. The way that he U-turned out on me like that when I was fully paralyzed probably tells me he doesn't have Earthquake like he did last time. I'm expecting it to have Grass Knot. We've seen U-turn, Flare Blitz, and I'm expecting Mach Punch / Vacuum Wave anyways. So I feel pretty safe about Zard 1v1ing the Infernape. If I switch into Zapdos, I have to click Signal Beam. It's not going to kill the Gren. I could two-shot it, but he would two-shot me back as well. So what I'm going to decide to do is just stay in here and go for the damage with Dragon Claw, which is an interesting play. You know, he goes for the Ice Beam there, so he's trying to catch the Zapdos and just one-shot the Zapdos. He's going to be able to two-shot me, of course. I got bigger damage off with Dragon Claw than I expected. I couldn't tank 2 Ice Beams with Passimian. I could tank 1 here, but I'm deciding to preserve health on Passimian for a 1v1 against Mega Manectric later. So in with Zapdos here, and I'm just going to click Signal Beam against the Greninja, and he's going to find out that I'm Scarf finally. The Infernape, I'm just going to go for damage on this. You know, if he wants to kill himself to Flare Blitz, that's whatever. I'm not defensive at all. I'm very offensive Zapdos, so I knew I wasn't going to tank 2 of these anyways, but letting him take the recoil and whatnot is pretty solid, and any chance for a static is super solid for me. The roll on the Hippowdon really sucked, man, but we finally get the static, so that's something. So now I'm forced to bring in Passimian. Obviously, it's my last Pokemon, but this is my win con. If he gets fully paralyzed or doesn't have priority, or doesn't click the priority, then I win against the Manectric. He can't kill me. We don't know that he's timid yet, to be fair. If he's modest, it's a fat roll. But I'll always kill him because he has to Mega Evolve first turn, so he has to proc Intimidate, which will give me a +1 attack boost. Because of Defiant, it'll raise my attack by 2 stages, so the -1 turns into a +1. If he gets fully paralyzed, then I win the game. Knowing that he's timid, I win the game. Obviously, I didn't know he was timid at the time, but there's no role for timid to be able to kill me unless he crits me, so he's got like a 1 in 24 chance then. Or if he doesn't click the priority move anyways, then I still win. Problem being, none of it's going to matter, because, well, actually, it will matter. So, because he's timid, after my -1 Spidef drop, after clicking Close Combat here, I can still live the Thunderbolt, or the Overheat, but Thunderbolt's doing the same damage as Overheat, and there's no reason to risk the miss. So, Thunderbolt, I can live at -1 because I'm AV, I'll just be at neutral Spidef. But I'm not taking Earthquake onto this Passimian, so it's going to end up costing me the game entirely, because the way that it's going to play out is if I wasn't, despite him clicking Mach Punch here, it would have been a roll for the Manectric to kill me if I'd clicked Earthquake there and not been at -1 Spidef. I would have still had my AV boost. So because I wasn't Earthquake, we're just going to lose the game here, unfortunately, at the end, because the Mega Manectric took forever to Mega Evolve, took until the last turn. Yeah, so a couple things about this game. I'm not disappointed at all. Zach played really well. Although I'm still a little bit questionable about his sets, even after talking to him in DMs. They didn't really seem that well planned out. Like, it seemed like he had a plan, but it was a really risky plan that didn't deal with all of my options, and this is why I really hate 12mon, and I think this is one of the reasons why he had to go into a risky plan, or why he thought he had to go into a risky plan, is because we're forced into 12 Pokemon, he can't predict everything that's going to come perfectly, and obviously I didn't, because I didn't expect Mega Manectric to come against Triple Ground. Yeah, so over prepping for Selly cost me pretty hard. I would have, if I'd thought about it and the Celesteela wasn't coming, I would have for sure brought the like the Curse Agility Zapdos, which would have put in a tremendous amount of work against this team. So, a couple things to note about that, right? The Seismitoad actually didn't have a way to hit my Zapdos at all. It didn't have Toxic or anything of that nature. The Manectric could have Toxic me. He could have gone into Manectric and Toxic me early, but Zapdos would have punched a gigantic hole into this team with Mono Jolpek. His Flying Resist was the Mega Manectric, so I would have been able to either dent the Mega Manectric or kill it and set myself up for Zardex later, or be less worried about preserving Hippo. That 25% roll on Hippo really sucked because I could have preserved the Hippo and potentially got Rocks up or an Earthquake off against something like Infernape. Been healthy enough to get an Earthquake off against something like Infernape. The Whimsicott didn't even have a Grass move to touch me, so that was interesting. Obviously, I couldn't touch the Hydra with my own Hippo, but I could have got Rocks up and then Whirlwinded around and whatnot. And the Rocks chip on certain things might have put them in range of other attacks. It looks to me like Rocks didn't make a difference in this game. The Rocks chip didn't change anything, but he might have been forced to play around that a little bit differently. I can't remember if he had defog on the Whimsicott or not. I don't remember if he was actually prepared for that. I'm regretting a little bit not bringing the Glycopod. Glycopod would have looked amazing against this build. Amazing against this build. The Seismitoad can't really touch it. I resisted all three of the moves that Seismitoad had. He had like HP Fire, Earth Power, Scald, and I would have been able to revenge kill mons like Infernape, Greninja, Hydra, and the Whimsicott really, really easily. So I'm definitely regretting not bringing Glycopod over something, although I'm not sure what it is. Probably the Excadrill, which didn't really do as much as I'd hoped here. Charizard getting paralyzed was pretty huge, so, you know, him hitting both of those stun spores was whatever. He hit the Hydro Pump against my Excadrill. That might have changed things, although, to be fair, I also might have been fully paralyzed that turn. I clicked Earthquake, which would have demolished the Greninja because I was adamant. So it came down to him hitting Hydro. I don't know. There were a lot of rolls in this game. It's not necessarily all hacks. The full para, the one hacks thing was the full para on Charizard X, and that didn't even matter because I clicked Dragon Dance, so that was completely irrelevant. I got a crit on the Infernape or something. Oh, and he crit me on the Persian, but the crit on the Persian we already determined didn't matter because he was two-shotting me anyways. And the crit on the Infernape didn't matter because I was one-shotting him anyways with close combat there. So big things on my part was not having Earthquake on the Passimian over Knockoff. I thought that the Dusknoir might come as a Passimian check, and it didn't. He played a very, very offensive game in that sense of things. So I'm definitely regretting not having Earthquake because I could have at least taken it to a roll in that case. Zapdos, I'm mad at myself that I brought Volt Switch over U-Turn. The plan was just to Volt Switch on the Celesteela, but I probably should have brought U-Turn anyways, and that would have put me in a better spot against the potential of a Mega Manectric switch in. Obviously, I clicked Signal Beam against the Greninja or whatever the first time, but what I could have done instead was U-Turn. If I had U-Turn over like Defog, for example, right? If I had U-Turn over Defog, I just U-Turn that turn. I can see the Manectric's a little bit bulky, and I get to go into my Zard, which gets another attack off, which is pretty huge at that stage of the game. Getting a Flare Blitz off or whatever would have been quite decent damage for me. Or bluffing the Scarf on something. I don't know. Bringing in Passimian and like bluffing the Adrenaline Orb would have been something as well to do. So I don't know. All that said, keep an eye out for my aABL season recap at some point. I normally like to do it when there's a winner, but I might just go through it with no winner and sort of discuss some of the things about my season. I'm not going to go super in depth with things because there are a couple things that I'm not super pleased about that had to do with the other participants in the league, but I'm just going to let that be. And because that was more of a mod thing, so I don't really want to bring that into this. I do want to say thank you to Jimmy for letting me help out this season. I'm still obviously going to be updating the docs for the remainder of playoffs, but I'm not participating in playoffs anymore, of course. I don't believe that I'm going to participate in any future aABL seasons. The plan was if I won this season, I would stay and compete in the next one, but there's no hard date for that anyways. It's going to be like a year away or whatever, and I would have used my guaranteed entry into that. I used my guaranteed entry into this season. I played really well in the regular season. There's no doubt in my mind about that. 9-1 plus 25. I'm not going to change anything about that. I definitely wish I could take back some of the prep I did in this playoff match. I didn't really feel super comfortable about it. I didn't ask for any help with it, which I think was also a little bit of a problem and maybe an ego thing on my side, not asking for help. I didn't feel comfortable with the build, and it clearly showed. Yeah, aABL season recap. I'll be updating the kills for all my mons and stuff on my all-time kills doc. It's going to be a little bit shorter than normal, than a normal season recap, and we'll leave it at that. So once aABL recording is done, I should have OLT going up. You guys should have seen or should be seeing UPA D-League content going up around now as well, because my red uploads are finally stopping, and NCL is going to start soon, which is going to be huge. So those will kind of be the leagues that you're going to be seeing uploaded rather than just the aABL red that you'll see right now. Anyways, keep all that in mind. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. It was a really close match, so I can't say anything bad about that. And I will catch you guys for the recap.